What are we seeing in the Niagara region in July?
It is busy here. Downtown is busy. Niagara on the Lake is busy. Niagara Falls is busy. We did drop in, number of new listings and number of sales.
I think the one thing we can tell here is even though numbers of sales are tapering off, it also seems like number of new listings are tapering off.
We're going to go through our personal most recent BRRRR. We bought this for $388. This was in November, so I'm not going to act like the market didn't help us here, but COVID slowed us down in a big way. We seem to buy a house every time like Home Depot, Lowe's, all those places decide to close.
I really do appreciate the before and after photos though. These days, I think it's all about just having that nice, clean look, right? Especially if we're trying to attract top renters for our rental properties. What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and we're back talking about the Niagara real estate market again with Kayla. Hey, Kayla, how's it going?
Hey, Matt, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. And so I know you've got a presentation for us today. You're going to go through kind of the market update, what's going on in your corner of the world with Niagara and all the surrounding regions. As well, we've got an update on one of your own personal BRRRR projects, right?
Yeah, so I broke down the numbers. I have some photos. So yeah, I'm excited to share with everyone. That was pretty successful, so we're super excited.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to jump into it. So we'll pull up your presentation right now. And what are we seeing in the Niagara region in July?
So this is year over year. A little bit of a slowdown. I mean, nothing too worrisome, but we did drop in, number of new listings and number of sales. And again, this is a representation of the market starting to open up in 2020. So everyone was starting to feel a bit more comfortable. And again, like the benchmark price, we know that there's been a massive increase. And then that days on market is still, well, it has, it's gone up from last month. It is still a massive decrease from, July of 2020. And that is, right across the board. And again, this isn't new news. We talk about this every month, but dramatic increases across the board as well. And then, nothing super surprising over here other than there was a bit of a drop in new listings and sales. So, and again, they have that little note up there that all of this is emphasizes COVID-19, whatever it did to the housing market. So that's just something to keep in mind. The month over month is maybe a little bit more interesting. Like I said, there's also been a drop month over month. So, you had $11.99 in June, $9.91 in July, $8.84 in June for number of sales, $7.49 in July. Again, this isn't it's not a huge dramatic decrease. There's, it's big enough to notice, but it's not anything super substantial. A bit of a drop in the benchmark price for Niagara from June to July. Again, this could be reflective of several different things. And then the increase of days on market. So one thing to note is that this July was really the first time that people were able to go on vacation and that type of thing because kids were out of online learning. So we did see a lot of people away. So houses were waiting to be listed. Even my own listings, they were let's put it off just so we can go on vacation and not have to worry about it. So definitely a bit of that. Something to note that nationally, it was still the second best July in terms of listings and sales on record. So there's still a lot happening. Despite, the headlines are all, sales are dropping, this is happening. We're still breaking records across the board. It's just that, these last few months have been a little bit slower than what we saw in March, which was unsustainable. So that is kind of the breakdown for month over month. And again, it was pretty much across the board. There's a few where days on market went down, but that is also just reflective of the type of houses that were up. But yeah, so that's the month over month from June to July. And I know sometimes people like to see it like this because it's a little bit easier to understand the data here. So the one up here is year over year. So number of sales, we saw a decrease by just about 25%, increase of price, 36%, decrease of days on market. And again, I say this every time, but it's average days on market. The median is lower by 50. And then number of new listings by, just decreased by 15, 16%. So there's that. And then this one, I think, is what is surprising people is just the difference month over month. So we had a decrease in number of sales, decrease in the benchmark price, but by basically nothing. Increase in days on market, and then decrease in number of new listings. Is there anything that sticks out, Matt, that you want to chat about that?
The one thing that I would definitely want to comment or explore a little bit more is just, when we hear this narrative of the market softening or potentially softening, I think the one thing I naturally go to is like, how many listings are actually out there? What's the days of or the months of inventory? And I think the one thing we can tell here is even though numbers of sales are tapering off, it also seems like number of new listings are tapering off, and they're not exactly in tandem, but it's very obvious that even if this trend was to continue for a while, it'd probably take, I don't know, half a year for us to really build up any significant inventory. And so I know,
Oh, sorry, Matt. I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm just going to go here. So this is actually months. I put weeks there so we can fix that. But you can see there's been no substantial difference. So this was obviously January, February, March, and then April, May, June, July have all been at 1 month of inventory, as opposed to, last year when we were just shy of 3. So we're still, again, we're still in a seller's market. They're still breaking records. Like you said, number of listings is going down, but so is number of sales. So it's, they're kind of evening out. But yeah, so we're still at, 1 month of inventory across the board. And it's interesting, every week it goes, like, it fluctuates. Some weeks we go up, some weeks we go down, some weeks we stay the same. Like, there's kind of just been riding this 1 month line for the last while. So not any, significant changes as far, like, again, when we see the headlines, the market, like you said, is softening. There's not as much happening. The same amount is happening, just it's, when you look at it versus new listings and sales, that's just leveling out. So it's, we're still looking at the same type of activity, just, on a bit of a lower level for July. And I suspect we'll see that in August as well. But yeah, so that is that. And like I had said, we're going to go through our personal most recent BRRRR. Nice. We are currently working on 3. This one just finished. So this one was in Niagara. It already had basically 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms, that whole thing. So it was cosmetic for the most part. We did have to do like the central, the furnace, the hot water tank, because we moved everything into the corner just to create more space. But just to go over like the financial highlight of it, I do have photos, and interrupt me at any time to to ask any questions. So we bought this for $388. This was in November, so I'm not going to act like the market didn't help us here, but COVID slowed us down in a big way. So our down payment, we bought it as, as a rental. So we did put that 20% down, which was $77,600. The new mortgage amount, $310,400. It cost us about $80 to renovate. And again, that was with those bigger things. We did have to so it took way longer. We just finished it. We had to go, a little more expensive on some things, a little cheaper on other things. And that was based solely on availability. Like, we seem to buy a house every time, like Home Depot, Lowe's, all those places decide to close, which has been literally the story every single time we've bought something. So it is reflective of that. And it's obviously not 80,000 on the dot. That's just for ease. But our holding costs were about 12,500 with our mortgage property tax. The bills were obviously quite low because no one was there. And then our closing costs were about 5,800. So the total that we did have in the project, so all those things obviously added together, was about 175,900. We had the appraisal come in at 650. Our new mortgage is 520. So we were able to take everything out plus an additional 33,700.
That's awesome. And
yeah.
so like that's definitely your textbook BRRRR, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And so if someone was, looking at this and they're like, this looks amazing, can I still find a similar type deal these days in the market? What's your perspective on that?
So we actually picked up another one in April, which the market was actually arguably a bit busier than it is right in this moment. And another one last month. The one we bought in April is actually looking better than this one. And the one we bought in last month should turn out to be just about the same, if not a bit better. One of those was bought on market. One of those was bought off market. And the interesting thing about the one what we purchased on market, so it's in Thorold. Thorold has a rule that, in order to do a legal duplex, you have to have, each unit has to have a floor above grade. And it's a 5-level back split. So it does allow for that. We're actually, we're in the permit process and all that stuff at the moment. And I sent it to all the investors that I work with and no one bit. So I was like, okay, well, if you guys don't want it, I'm gonna buy it. And we got that one for 440. It should be about 100, I would say, work-wise. It already had 2 kitchens as well. And we were able to salvage one of them. It's just a perfect layout and the cabinets are in great condition. So we're gonna paint them, new countertop, new backsplash, all that stuff. But it does save obviously quite a bit if you don't have to buy those new cabinets. And yeah, it's like I said, it should appraise probably in the 750 mark. So
awesome. So yeah, there's definitely still deals out there on the market that can be found in the Niagara region.
Yeah, actually, I just hopped on this morning to kind of see what was out there, and there was a price drop in Thorold. It's in a semi, and honestly, it looks pretty good. So definitely, even today, there's there's stuff out there that looks good. So definitely still out there, still doable. Like I said, I know this one we bought in November, and the market sure helped, but we also had to hold it a heck of a lot longer than we anticipated we would. And to that, so the upper unit is looking to rent for about 2,000, and the lower should be about 1,600. So we are looking at about, just shy of, I think, 800 cash flow when everything's said and done. So it's also pretty lucrative that way.
Yeah, so, appreciate you sharing that and breaking it down.
And then you can see it's kind of just like that textbook, dated, clean, kind of what you want. You can see there was like that little kitchen in the basement, the kitchen upstairs. Nothing major really needed to be done. Like, of course, we replaced, all the kitchens and whatnot, bathrooms, etc. We actually left one of the bathrooms because it had heated floors and it wasn't so bad. We just added like a few more modern touches to it. I didn't want to mess with heated floors because, I wish I had those. And then you can see like the old furnace. So that was all replaced as well.
And so when you're kind of going through a property like that, Kayla, whether it's for yourself or with clients, what are some of the things on your checkbox that you're, really focused on? I'm guessing you're looking at ceiling height in the basement.
Of course. Yeah. Number one, I would say that because this one was already set up, it would the ceiling height was good. I'm like to take a look at any moisture issues. So we did do a partial waterproof on this as well. Just because there was one spot that required it. And my personal favorite are the ones that are like dated, clean. It's easy to walk in and kind of visualize what you can do. And bungalows are obviously great for it, but I don't think that it needs to be clean. I've seen some of my clients have bought, the most awful homes and turn them into gorgeous houses, and they've done very well. But for me, when I'm looking, it's kind of the ones that I can see are not going to take super long. Again, with the caveat of COVID did create this one to take a little bit longer, but that aren't going to take super long, that are pretty simple, that we can get in, keep kind of keep things where they are. Like we didn't move too much as far as like, you know, where the sink is, stove, all that stuff. And then, yeah, just that's really it for us. I do like to get something that has a larger lot, which this one does. I like to be able to offer each unit, you know, their own backyard space, especially now that people are spending a lot of time outside. And this one does have that. It also has a detached garage. The roof was recently done. So, I mean, do we discriminate against anything? We've bought some pretty terrible ones as well, but my favorite type look just like this one.
Yeah, really appreciate the perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And then these are the after photos. I mean, this is, you can still see where we were cleaning up some. Yeah. So this was all the stuff that we actually had to take back because we had to like drive all over the place to get the kitchen. Like it was a bit of a nightmare, but, and again, not usually the countertops that we would use, et cetera, but whatever, it turned out pretty nice. So you can see just pretty standard IKEA kitchen, vinyl flooring, just standard stuff. And that, you know, that raised the value to $650. So definitely a successful one. We're happy with it. I could have done a little bit better on my photography, but that's not my forte. So that's why.
I really do appreciate the before and after photos though, because it just illustrates, you know, what type of finishes and grade of finishes we're dealing with. And, you know, these days I think it's all about just having that nice, clean look, right? Especially if we're trying to attract top renters for our rental properties.
Yeah. And just for like perspective, since it's been listed, I think I've gotten like at least 150 people reaching out. Like I can't even keep up with it. If you provide, like you said, someone with a nice clean space, like it does make a huge difference. And you can see actually even the appliances have since came, but yeah, it just, people seem to gravitate towards that. And you tend to get, you know, better renters because they see that you've done a lot of work to it. So they're going to treat it like their home as well. Which is exactly what we wanted. And there was parking already for both. So that was ideal. And there is a detached garage as well. So it had a lot to offer. So we really, really liked this one. But yeah, as far as finishes go, none of this is super like high end. Like I said, we had to kind of conceive on some stuff and go a little bit higher end on others just because of the COVID situation and the lack of inventory. But yeah, so that is our BRRRR. And then, as usual, I do like to showcase this because, again, everyone that I talk to is like, I need you to let me know how this works. So this is Niagara Navigator for anyone who hasn't seen it. It is a great program when it loads. There we go. And it just gives you, you know, a good idea of what you're dealing with in what area. And I know I've done this before, but just you can see government offices, you can see different beaches for the Airbnb people out there, you know, literally anything, marinas, waterfront trails, wineries, if you're looking to be close to those, they're kind of all over the place. So definitely a great resource when you're looking to invest. And it also has the projects on there. So you can kind of see where major, you know, road projects are going to, like, especially in the Airbnb world where, you know, someone probably doesn't want to stay if the road's all, you know, dug up and they can't get to the house. I had someone run into that recently. So it just gives you a good idea of what's going on in the, I mean, it's not just St. Catharines, it's the entire Niagara region. So great. And then as far like schools, safety, all that stuff. And also, again, this is just a great resource from when insurance asks you where the closest fire hydrant is, because it actually is on here instead of trying to figure it out. And fire station, just a great tool for all of those things. And to that, like tourism and all of that stuff. So we've actually been out quite a bit since things have opened up. It is busy here. Downtown is busy. Niagara on the Lake is busy. Niagara Falls is busy. So if you were like, if anyone was concerned about what COVID did to, I guess, especially the tourism out here, it is thriving at the moment. It is very, very busy.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that.
Good news. Yeah, and that's like, it's anecdotal, of course. It's just from me being out, but all the headlines say that it's doing well, and as well, there's been like grants and stuff put into the region. And everything that I had spoken about before with the games, the facilities are almost built. So I should be able to do like a tour of those shortly as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's it, Matt, if you have any questions.
Yeah. Well, again, just really appreciate you breaking down for us what's going on in your corner of the world, as well as
Mhm.
what you're actually up to on your individual projects. Because I know for so many investors, it can be intimidating, whether maybe you've done one or two simple deals, but now you're looking
Mhm.
at getting into maybe a BRRRR or flip, and just being able to see that, like, hey, Kayla's able to do it while also being a full-time realtor and doing everything else she's up to. I think is fantastic because it's a great illustration of who you want on your power team, right? As a real estate investor, you want a realtor that actually understands your mindset, understands what you should be looking for in a property, can see through any of the cosmetic issues, but also knows, what are the big mechanical issues I need to be aware of? Because,
Yeah.
doing those, like changing the HVAC, new
Yeah.
hot water heater, all those things can add up. And sometimes for a new investor, you don't necessarily think of those things. You're like, oh, I need to make it look pretty, but we also need to
Mhm.
make sure it works.
And also to that point, like with the HVAC stuff, if we would have left it where it was, it would have eliminated the opportunity to add the second bedroom. So it's not only like, yes, of course,
Yeah.
it costs up front to do the HVAC, move the venting and whatnot, but the opportunity to add the second bedroom also allowed for obviously more income in the basement. So definitely you need someone to kind of pick out those little things that's going to maybe cost you a little bit more upfront, but in the long run, you're going to make, quite a bit more off of it. And the return on investment is going to be super high there. So yeah, definitely important to look for those things. Like I said, there's stuff on the market right now that actually would work quite well. I'm going to go out on a limb and say a perfect BRRRR, a few that I've looked at. So definitely reach out if that's something you're looking for. And yeah, that was great, Matt. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, I suspect we've got a couple of viewers that'll be interested in Perfect BRRRRs. So if you guys are interested, all of Kayla's information's in the video description down below. Really do encourage you guys to reach out to her if you're looking to invest in the Niagara region. And again, it's just a great, I love the idea of having a realtor that understands real estate investing in my corner. It's what originally attracted me to my original OG realtor, Jeff Wybo. So appreciate you sharing all your insights, Kayla, and looking forward to chatting next month.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.